Chapter 28 to 30. The instant the silver light danced in his pupils, Goten's body vanished as if he were a specter. His speed was astonishing, leaving a trail of afterimages suspended in mid-air. Before Broly could even register his surprise, Goten's figure had already materialized before him. A swift, straight punch landed squarely on Broly's abdomen. Boom! A low, resonating crash echoed as a gush of blood spurted from Broly's mouth. His towering body, standing over 3 meters tall, was sent flying several hundred feet backward by the force of the punch. Broly clutched his stomach, grimacing in pain. He felt as if his insides were being twisted together, causing a gut-wrenching agony. Despite his formidable strength and robust physique, the power behind Goten's punch, amplified by the Ultra Instinct, was terrifyingly potent. Rira! Pain continued to fuel Broly's rage, causing him to howl like a wounded beast. The vibrant green aura around his body flared up even more intensely. Whoosh! Without a moment's hesitation, Goten's body flickered, appearing once again like a phantom. A beautifully executed roundhouse kick landed hard on Broly's neck. Boom! Rumble! Broly's massive body crashed into the ground, creating a massive sinkhole upon impact. At this moment, Goten showed no mercy. He was aware that in his current state, using Ultra Instinct, he could only maintain it for less than half a minute. If Broly wasn't completely subdued within that time frame, Goten's body would be in serious danger. He would be like a fish on a chopping board, at the mercy of Broly's wrath. After sending Broly crashing into the ground, Goten leaped into the air. With a swift motion, he began gathering energy in one hand. A silver energy bullet, composed of pure divine ki, was condensed in an instant. No matter how resilient Broly's body was, it stood no chance against such a force. Boom! Rumble! The energy bullet hit its mark right where Broly was. The deafening explosion caused the entire planet to tremble. The ground was pierced by the remnant energy waves, causing the scarlet magma to surge wildly. And there, amidst the chaos, Broly's body reappeared in Goten's line of sight. His massive form was riddled with wounds. Blood stained the corners of his mouth and eyes, but his fury was even more palpable. He resembled an ancient beast awakened from slumber, baring its teeth in rage. His aura was more terrifying than ever. Clearly, the pain had only served to make Broly stronger and more ferocious. Gradually losing control to his primal instincts, he was slowly losing his self-awareness. He actually survived that. This guy's tenacity is unbelievable. Goten was taken aback as he observed Broly, who had only sustained a few injuries. Roar! A frenzied roar erupted from Broly's throat. The green energy surrounding his body grew increasingly terrifying. Energy balls were continuously released from his body, wreaking havoc wherever they went. The ground was obliterated, and the scarlet magma churned and surged relentlessly. The entire planet was on the brink of destruction, and it was estimated that in less than a minute, this planet would be completely annihilated. Broly's energy was still ravaging the planet. A serious expression gradually appeared on Goten's face. He had been battling Broly for so long, yet the system's notification sound had not rung out. This meant that he hadn't acquired Broly's mutated bloodline yet. He had risked his lives to come to this planet just to acquire Broly's bloodline. After all this effort, if he couldn't acquire Broly's mutated bloodline, it would be a huge disappointment. More importantly, Broly had completely lost his mind and had begun to destroy everything in sight. This planet was estimated to be completely destroyed in a minute. At that time, Goten would be in grave danger. After all, he couldn't sustain the Ultra Instinct mode for a long time. And with the power of Super Saiyan alone, it was utterly impossible to survive in the universe. System, accept the fusion of Cell's abilities. At this moment, Goten suddenly remembered that when he had defeated Cell before, he had acquired his abilities. Initially, he had not chosen to accept the reward because he didn't find Cell's abilities particularly useful. Unexpectedly, at this critical juncture, Cell's abilities would prove to be handy. This was because Cell's genetic composition contained the genes of Frieza and his father, King Cold. And the Frost Demons had the ability to survive in a vacuum. Very well, host. The voice of the system rang out promptly. Accompanied by a tingling sensation all over his body, the system indicated that the fusion was successful. A wealth of new knowledge flooded his mind in an instant. Vegeta's Final Flash, Frieza's Death Beam and Supernova, Piccolo's Mystic Flash Cannon, Tion Shinhan's Tri-Beam, and other abilities. But these were of little use to Goten at the moment. The only thing that would come in handy right now was Frieza and King Cold's ability to survive in the vacuum of space. Ha! Broly's aura was growing stronger and stronger, and the planet was crumbling like a boat in a stormy sea. Goten knew very well that it was time to deliver the final blow to Broly. Even if he couldn't acquire the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline this time, he couldn't afford to die here. It's over, Broly. With this thought in mind, Goten stared at Broly with an extremely serious gaze. In the next second, his body instantly appeared in front of Broly. The silver divine energy condensed in his palm was aimed at Broly's chest. Without any hesitation, and without giving Broly any chance to resist, the energy ball blasted out from his palm instantly. Ah! Accompanied by a piercing scream, Broly's body disintegrated and dissipated bit by bit under the divine energy. The terrifying energy impact directly caused the entire planet to explode in an instant. At the same time, the familiar voice sounded in his mind. Ring. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline plus 5 billion fighting power. Boom! The moment the system voice sounded, the planet also exploded, and a beautiful firework bloomed in the vast expanse of the universe. Boom! The brilliant fireworks gradually began to dissipate, eventually reducing to cosmic dust. Broly's body was nowhere to be found. At this moment, Goten, standing amidst the vast expanse of the universe, seemed as insignificant as a speck of dust. The planet's explosion had inflicted severe injuries on him, causing him to bleed profusely. Although he possessed the power to obliterate a planet in an instant, surviving the energy released by a planet's explosion was an entirely different matter. If he hadn't managed to condense an energy barrier in time, the shockwave from the planet's explosion could have seriously injured or even killed him. This was no exaggeration. Goten immediately deactivated his Ultra Instinct state. He instantly felt extremely weak, as if all the strength had been drained from his body. After all, using Ultra Instinct with his current body resilience consumed a significant amount of physical energy and also inflicted considerable strain on the body. Moreover, the shockwave from the explosion had also caused numerous injuries. Feeling the weakness in his body, Goten quickly took out another Senzu bean and popped it into his mouth. After chewing a few times, the injuries on his body miraculously healed. He could clearly feel that the energy in his body seemed much stronger than before. It was as if the power was ready to burst forth. Finally got rid of that guy. However, this approach was really a bit too risky. Even now, having recovered his full strength, he still had lingering fears. That guy, Broly, was stronger than he had imagined. In his Ultra Instinct state, Broly had managed to endure 2 full strength attacks before he could finally defeat him. Fortunately, Broly wasn't given more time to grow. Otherwise, it was uncertain whether he would have been able to survive in the end. However, this risky adventure finally yielded a satisfactory result. He got what he had been most looking forward to: the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. This was what he had come for. The basic combat power of 5 billion had also significantly improved his strength. After fusing with the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, it was hard for him to imagine how strong he would become. But one thing was certain: it would definitely not be the same as it is now. The system has detected a non-fused bloodline, legendary Super Saiyan bloodline. Does the host wish to proceed with the fusion? At this moment, the voice of the system sounded again. In the bloodline column of his personal template, the words of the legendary Super Saiyan, not fused, also appeared. No, not yet. Goten mentally dismissed the suggestion. Initiating the bloodline fusion here was too risky. With the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline involved, the outcome was unpredictable. It was clear that this wasn't the suitable environment for such a fusion. For fusion to occur, a secure location was essential for peace of mind. Very well, host. The system also responded immediately. Then there was no movement from the system. At this time, Goten looked at the vast, boundless universe. A sense of loneliness washed over him. Although he had trained alone in the hyperbolic time chamber for a year, he knew he was on Earth at the time. As long as he stepped out of the gate of the time chamber, he could return to Earth. But now he didn't know how to get back to Earth. Getting back to Earth wouldn't be easy without a spaceship. Therefore, his current plan was to find a planet with signs of biological activity first, and then find a way to return to Earth. After making up his mind, Goten disappeared in a flash. Meanwhile, on King Kai planet, Goku and Gohan were all smiles, because Goten had survived, and Broly had been defeated. Amazing, Goten! Goku clenched his fists excitedly. Not only had Goten taken care of Broly, but he had also survived the planet's explosion. Goten, this kid is really outrageously strong. Broly's energy at that last moment was really too strong. Dad, even if you become Super Saiyan 3, you still can't beat Broly. Gohan was also full of excitement and anticipation. They could clearly feel Broly's aura at that time. It was powerful beyond description. Although Gohan had reached the form of Super Saiyan 2, he knew very well that Broly at that time could definitely kill him instantly. It was estimated that even Goku's Super Saiyan 3 form was no match for Broly. You're right, Gohan. Even if I become Super Saiyan 3, it's absolutely impossible to defeat Broly. That guy is really too strong. But that kid, Goten, is the best. The current him is estimated to have reached a level that we cannot comprehend. Goku nodded in agreement, then spoke to everyone with a calm face. Goten's current level was at a height that was difficult for them to understand. Before, they had felt that the form of Super Saiyan 3 was really strong. But after experiencing the battle between Goten and Broly, they gradually realized that Super Saiyan 3 was not worth mentioning in front of the two of them. It looked like they still had a long way to go. Damn it. Damned cockroach, both father and son have surpassed me. Unforgivable. Vegeta's face was livid with anger. At the beginning, Goku was the only one who had surpassed him. But 8 years ago, Goku's son Gohan had surpassed him. Now, even his youngest son had become so strong. He, the eternal second, had fallen directly to the 4th position. It was so irritating. Once the commotion settled down, Piccolo finally interjected. Didn't you guys realize? That kid, Goten, can survive in the vacuum of space. If I remember correctly, Saiyans don't seem to have this ability. Even if they became a Super Saiyan, they couldn't survive in the vacuum of space. But Goten seemed to be totally fine. And he was moving forward at a very fast speed. Yes, how is this possible? Saiyans really can't survive in the space. Goku also looked puzzled. Vegeta on the side obviously didn't understand what was going on. Saiyans did not have this special ability, but Frieza and his kind could. Maybe it has something to do with the divine ki in Goten's body. Looking at the puzzled crowd, King Kai spoke. It was normal for a warrior with the power of a god to survive in the universe. Goku and the others nodded in agreement, unable to think of any other explanation. I hope that kid will be blessed with great fortune and survive in the space. King Kai muttered to himself in a low voice. Although Goten's character was different from Goku and Gohan, being more decisive than them, he knew Goten was also a good boy and a formidable warrior. By defeating Broly, Goten had saved countless planets and creatures in the southern quadrant of the galaxy. Everyone, please rest assured, Piccolo spoke up, with Goten's strength, he can presumably survive in the space. Goku and the others didn't continue to observe Goten either. Goten's current strength had far surpassed them, leaving them far behind. Hey! Let's continue training, Goku said to Vegeta and Gohan with an excited smile. At first, I thought that Super Saiyan 3 was already very strong, but seeing Broly and Goten's battle today made me realize that our strength is still very weak. He looked forward to meeting Goten one day and experiencing Goten's power for himself. Several people nodded seriously. In the past 8 years, although their strength had improved significantly, it paled in comparison when compared with Goten's strength. Goten's power had greatly stimulated everyone's desire to train harder. In this way, time passed day by day. A week passed in the blink of an eye. King Kai and Goku would also check on Goten's current situation every other day. At this time, Goten had been wandering in the empty space for a whole week. Although space was vast and boundless, filled with countless planets, the distance between each planet was at least hundreds of thousands of kilometers. No matter how fast Goten was, it was not an easy task to go from one planet to another. Moreover, randomly fumbling without a sense of direction greatly escalated the difficulty of searching. The lack of food and rest was also a factor that added to the escalated difficulty in the space. Fortunately, Goten still had 2 senzu beans on his body. These miraculous beans not only could make people recover from injuries, but also could make people recover their physical strength instantly. At this time in the vast and boundless space, 2 figures suddenly appeared. One tall and one short. Both of them had silver-white hair. The short one was only about 1.4 meters tall, with a silver-white mohawk, light purple skin, and a pair of long ears. The taller one was a big man with a red face and long silver-white hair hanging down his back. Both were wearing strange suits. The most striking thing was that the 2 big men were wearing a pair of earrings. Kaioshin-sama, look quickly. There seems to be someone over there. The red-faced man suddenly said to the little man beside him. The words were obviously full of surprise. After all, there were not many races that could survive in the vacuum of space. This is the most desolate and remote location in the southern quadrant of the galaxy. How could someone be here? Let's go and see, Kibito. The little man immediately spoke seriously. Perhaps he has something to do with the explosion of a planet a few days ago. The two guys that suddenly appeared in the empty space were Supreme Kai Shin of the 7th universe and his attendant Kibito. They left the sacred realm of Kai to come to the southern galaxy this time, mainly for inspection of destruction of dozens of planets. On the way, they decided to investigate the sudden explosion of a planet they sensed some time ago. In the past few years, dozens of planets in the southern galaxy had been inexplicably destroyed one after another. It's just that in recent years, he had been paying attention to Majin Buu's affairs, so he didn't have enough time focus on the matters happening in the southern galaxy. Just a few years ago he got the definite news that the evil magician Bibidi had a son named Babidi, who possessed the ability to lift the seal of Majin Buu. Majin Buu was the fear in his heart. As long as that guy broke the seal, it was very likely that the entire universe would be destroyed. So other things were not so important in front of this matter that was related to the survival of the universe. Therefore, in the past few years, he had been constantly investigating Babidi's whereabouts. But Babidi was not found. Now he was like a frightened bird every day. Sometimes he even got nightmares, haunted by the image of the other 4 Supreme Kai being killed and absorbed by Majin Buu thousands of years ago. Okay, Kaioshin-sama. Kibito immediately nodded respectfully. Then the two of them used the instant movement technique and appeared directly in front of a figure. It's actually a child. Shin and Kibito exchanged surprised glances at the figure before them. How could a child be wandering alone in the space? Shin's astonishment was evident. And the kid who appeared in front of Shin and Kibito was naturally Goten, who had been wandering in the space for a whole week. Goten was also surprised after seeing Supreme Kai Shin and Kibito at this time. It's Kaioshin Shin and Kibito. Finally, I am saved. Of course, he was surprised and excited at the same time. It felt like encountering his very own rescuers. Because meeting these two guys meant he didn't have to hang around in the space anymore. Finally, he could leave this place of deathly silence. Hey kid, who are you? Why did you appear in the empty space? Kibito took a step forward, looked at Goten and immediately asked with a straight face. Quickly, take me out of this place. Goten looked at the two, and didn't answer Kibito's question but spoke immediately. I don't want to stay in this damn place for a minute. Not for a second. After wandering around in the space for a whole week, his whole body was not feeling good. For 7 days, he didn't even have a bite of hot food. This was simply a huge torture for a scion. Now his only thought was to get out of this ghost place and go eat something.